Hello, a very good afternoon to you from Hampden Park for the 1986 Skål Cup Final, and this our live coverage of yet another Old Firm Cup Final. Hampden Park itself alive as always with that unique Cup Final atmosphere, a sellout crowd of almost 75,000 and probably as many as 10, 15, maybe even 20,000 of you watching us from home who couldn't get tickets for today's match. This could easily have been the first 100,000 attendance in Scotland for many, many years. But Hampden Park these days holds just over 74,000, and all of these Rangers fans there and their Celtic counterparts at the other end looking forward to what is bound to be a marvellous final, which will of course be played to a finish. No draws, no replays, there will be extra time and if necessary penalties to decide not only the Skål Cup but the League Cup for 1986. The team news immediately is that Graham Souness will not play for Rangers. Cammy Fraser is in his place. Ted McMinn plays from the start, and for Celtic, in the absence of Tommy Burns, Murdo MacLeod plays as expected at number 3, with Mark McGee fit again in for Celtic. So there, the scene here at Hampden as we look forward to the final. The Silver Shadows marching band out there entertaining the crowds. The pre-match entertainment really has been marvellous. The crowds have listened to the league, they've come along early and they've enjoyed all the entertainment, and we're now not all that far away from the kick-off itself. Now with me to look at the match and to look back on the incidents is the Aston Villa and Scotland striker Andy Gray. We'll be hearing from Andy a little bit later on. But back inside Hampden, high above the pitch in the commentary position, is Archie McPherson, who has with him today the Dundee United manager, Jim McLean.
Thank you very much, Dugan. I think looking at that caravan, that's a handy place to be this afternoon, because it's turned very chilly indeed, and there is a very strong wind blowing left to right as you look at the picture, and we're not only competing with that, but with this very attractive and noisy band right in front of us, and I hope Jim McLean can hear exactly what I'm saying now. Jim, immediately I've got to ask you about the changes in the team. Well, Tommy Burns is not playing for Celtic, of course. David McPherson is suspended, and now Graham Souness is unfit to play. Which of the two sides on the face of it would seem to be most handicapped?
Well, I think Rangers are taking the biggest gamble here today, because most certainly they would like Ted McMinn and Cammy Fraser to be in much more match fit condition than they are. I think also Celtic would be the same with Mark McGee. I think it's a blow for Rangers to lose McPherson and Souness, but I'm sure it's equally a blow for Tommy Burns to be out of the Celtic team.
Well, it is interesting too that just before we came to live transmission, the Celtic team's up on the screen at the moment, and I'll get to what I was about to say in just a second once we have a look at that team. And that team, in fact, is the one which finished against Dynamo Kiev. So that, there was some talk about bringing Danny McGrain back, but they've decided against that, and Murdo MacLeod, Jim at left back, which he's accustomed to playing in anyway.
Well, I think that Davy Hay is remembered in the last game when Ted McMinn played exceptionally well at Ibrox, and Rangers won 1-0. So I think that he must have been thinking a wee bit along the lines of Ted McMinn and Davy Cooper, and needing to stop both of them.
And of course, you'll be getting a view of a young player who's come on enormously in the past 5 or 6 weeks, last couple of months, Tony Shippen, number 10, now at the Rangers end. And we'll have a look at the Rangers team now. As I was about to say, it was astonishing to see Fraser being given almost a fitness test. He was out with Walter Smith, the Rangers assistant manager, and he was looking very carefully at the way that Cammy was stretching and so on. Now, we know that McMinn, back from injury, is not totally fit either. So, in a sense, Rangers have two players there that ideally would not be playing this game from the start.
Well, that's obvious. I think that Rangers most certainly would have been far happier if Cammy Fraser and Ted McMinn had played a lot more often in recent weeks than they have. But I think also Mark McGee has been out through injury, so I would say that Rangers are more handicapped and have taken probably more of a gamble, but they've got two substitutes on the bench, very capable.
Well, substitutions I think will also be very important in this game, because as Dougie said right at the start, it's played to its bitter end, if I could put it that way. It goes into extra time or to penalties, and frankly, I'm sure you'd agree with me, Jim, we don't want a game at Hampden Park finishing in penalty kicks. It's bad enough at any time.
Well, one of the reasons I think that cup finals should definitely at least have one replay is that in football we need all the money we can generate into the game, and I think that it's the one game that it's ludicrous to think that we can't afford to have a replay in a cup final. Just think of the money that is coming into the game from today, the gate receipts on television and so on, and without doubt, if we need to cut down on fixtures, it most certainly isn't in the cup finals. At least one replay should be played.
Well, I'm sure these supporters out there would heartily endorse that, and you know, I never tire of seeing that sight at Hampden Park at both ends. The colours up, the Celtic supporters massed there, and away down at the other side, the Rangers supporters. All a splendidly stirring sight. And although Hampden Park is vastly altered to the first time I came here, either to watch a game on the terracings or to do a broadcast, it still tingles the emotions when you're sitting amidst a large crowd like this, and they really are packed in very, very tightly in there. I can assure all my friends, or some newly discovered friends, that I honestly didn't have many tickets for this game, and our phone's been going on and off over the past a month to find out if I get people tickets for it. There's been a huge demand, and the limitation, of course, of 74,000 set by the authorities on it. Whatever the case, the enthusiasm of both sets of supporters is quite undiminished. Having been around in a few places, I can tell you, I think without fear of contradiction, that they are the most loyal and vociferous supporters in the world, and they certainly make their impression on a game. Very little to choose between them if you are in a contest about how they can inspire the side. Rangers and Celtic players, to that extent, are always advantaged, and I've got a man sitting beside me who's got the rough end of that in many instances, even at Tannadice. I mean, Jim, if you had a support like 20, 30,000 falling out, with no disrespect to your own very loyal band of supporters, it does make a difference, doesn't it?
I think that people outside the game don't realise the difference that it does make, especially when you're away from home. I think that when we're at Tannadice, and obviously our results are very good, and they're only good in my opinion because of the amount of supporters we have there. But I think that when we travel 90 minutes to most of their games, at least 90 minutes to most of their games in the West, it's very, very difficult and financially impossible for some of the supporters to travel.
Right now, I'm not going to ask you for a straightforward prediction, but there are obviously key areas or very important elements in this game, and I want to talk firstly about the men up front, who are very important. And you were suggesting to me before we came up here that Celtic simply have more goal scorers than Rangers, out-and-out goal scorers.
Yes, well, I think that even with now Brian McClair obviously I think going to be playing in midfield, that to me gives them four players who can all take half chances, and in particular obviously they've got Maurice Johnson. I think Rangers most certainly don't have anything like the amount of goal scorers in their team that Celtic have, but I also think that the back four of Rangers is a bit more experienced than the Celtic one for obvious reasons.
But they'll miss David McPherson's height, won't they, today? I mean, Ali Dawson's in, but he's certainly not the same kind of player as McPherson.
I think that's a blow, but Ali Dawson has experienced cup finals, and one I remember when he picked up the Scottish Cup and we were the opposition. But I think that in the Celtic team, for instance, their back four is completely untried, as playing together as a unit.
And out they come, led by David Syme, Graham Souness, David Hay, the two captains, and Hampden rises to them. The fanfare by the sponsors, trumpeters, in this very meticulously arranged pre-match ritual of which Roy Aitken is highly accustomed. He is an inspirational character on a day like this. Now, David Hay is one of the most unflappable characters in the business. I mean, he was a very, very hard player, David. I'm sure a lot of people, many of his opponents would tell you about that. Hard but fair. As a manager, he's very, very subdued, almost laid back, and so, by the way, is Souness. Nothing seems to ruffle the pair of them. Although if they're human beings, I would think their insides are churning right at this moment. Ian Galletley, the president of the league, going down the line with Terry Butcher. The two chairmen of the clubs are there as well. John Payton and Jack McGinn, the newly appointed chairman of Celtic, with John Mackenzie of Alla Brewery Company, who are the sponsors of this event. And Jim Farry of the Scottish League, who's been right at the hub of all the organisation, and it takes an enormous organisation to get everything quite right. Now, the Celtic players. Well, they don't seem put out at all by this atmosphere. Mark McGee, of course, has got enormous experience. He has a European medal on his cabinet. That's an exceptional case for the players out there today. There he is, Mark McGee. I remember being in Hamburg the night, and I beg your pardon, in Gothenburg. He went to Hamburg eventually when he won that Cup Winners' Cup for Aberdeen. And off the players go to their respective ends. Now, Alan McInally, the man they call Rambo at Parkhead, he's certainly burst his way through the Celtic ranks. He was used more as a kind of super sub all last season. Now he's settled into that team and played remarkably well against a very tough Dynamo Kiev defence on Wednesday night, who did not like the way he charged at them. Cammy Fraser. Now, there must be a definite question mark against this man's fitness. The last time I saw him was at Tynecastle in that drawn game with Hearts. He went off after about 5 minutes or so with a hamstring injury, and it's bothered him ever since. And he was getting what I took to be a fitness test about 2 o'clock, 2:15. That's how late a decision it's been for Rangers. Referee David Syme. I asked Davey about half an hour ago if he ever felt nervous. He said no. He said the only time I feel nervous is perhaps before an evening game for some reason. His 11th Old Firm game, his 3rd cup final, and he loves it. Butcher has won the toss. I would read that, and I think Rangers will stay where they are. Butcher will be a key man for Rangers today, Jim, with all that experience of his.
Oh, playing in the World Cup and the experiences that had down in England, obviously, I think he'll be very important for Rangers, especially in the early stages of the game. But I think, honestly, this is a new scene for him, although he's played in, I think, one Old Firm game before today. A cup final has that wee bit extra.
It surely is. Mark McGee and Mo Johnson. That's not a bad forward structure for Celtic, with these two combining. I wouldn't say that Mark McGee himself will be as sharp as he would have expected, because he's only had that kind of half game back for Celtic. And there's Jimmy Nicholl. He'll be one of Rangers' best players in the last month. The Cloist, free kick, tackled there by young Derek White, who's now playing in the centre of defence for Celtic, starting off as left back. Brad Bonner taking his time about this, getting his players forward. Nicholl. Durant. There's Grant. Aiken. Off Monroe, and Butcher is there. Butcher following Mark McGee. Free kick to Celtic. For McStay. Knows Hampden Park very well. Remember a dramatic equaliser he had against Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup final, taken again to extra time. Nice curl in net. Off foot to Shield. Now McMinn. Here's Fraser. No, it's Ferguson rather, number 7. That was Fraser. Now Nicholl. On to McMinn. And White. Incisive tackle on McMinn. That's his first tackle, and I can't remember in the last game if he had a successful tackle against McMinn at all. Cooper. Cooper with his right foot, you see. It doesn't work as effectively as the left. McInally, the ball's still in play though. Oh, good play by McStay. Offside for Johnston by about a couple of yards. A nice brisk start to this game though. Rangers with the advantage of the wind. That was neatly touched round there by McMinn. Monroe. Grant. Bottom McLeod. McInally, there's McStay, curls it beautifully. Shepherd. Why he pulls it in and there. Chris Woods. That should do him a power of good, getting an awkward ball like that early in the game. Young Tony Shepherd, as I said, has been having an excellent month for Celtic. Rangers goalkeeper really tested. McGee fouled, free kick. Way by Nicholl. White. There's Brian McClare lying in that deep position, of course. Little bit too much in it. No, McClare gets it. There's McClare, Butcher. McStay. Nicely played by Ferguson to Fraser. To McCoist. Meant for Cooper, and Grant picks it up. Good run by Grant. Referee rightly waving clear. Now McInally. Butcher beautifully tackles McInally. Cooper. Ferguson, the run forward there by McMinn. Away goes McMinn. I think the free kick to Rangers, yes. Real struggle between the pair of them that time. McMinn, who had such a brilliant game for Rangers the last time the pair met.
He's most certainly got a different role today, but he's playing through the middle with Alan McCoist, and Rangers are playing their usual 4-4-2 and Celtic their usual 4-3-3, but Ted McMinn is playing through the middle with Alan McCoist. The last game he definitely played outside right.
Well, that was Terry Butcher getting up, and I think getting assist from the defender. Yes, it's a free kick. Now, Fraser. McLeod. McStay. Nice reverse pass by McStay. And that should go back by Nicholl. Rangers, though, looking a little bit frayed there down the middle. Fraser. McCoist. Free kick, yes. White hammering in from the back.
I'll stick my neck right on the chopping block and say at this minute that I think Celtic have most certainly started better than Rangers. They're getting plenty of players forward, as you expect with the system they're playing.
Free kick to Rangers. Fraser, Nicol on the run. A little bit too obvious that. In goes Durant. There's Fraser. Durant. Little bit slow. Cumbersome. Now Johnston. McInally. Grant. It's McInally is looking very good. Now McStay. Huge space there. McClare. Was a dangerous one and brilliantly saved. Really good goalkeeping twice by Woods. Desperately awkward ball for a goalkeeper to take. Slightly masking his view of the two players in front. Here's Cooper. Wanting to move into midfield, it's Cooper. Free kick. And Roy Aitken instantly apologising. Cooper didn't like that one little bit. And certainly it was a vital tackle for Celtic. Cooper was shaping up very well. And I think Cooper himself may take this. Or Fraser. Fraser with a long one and it's a post. Really brilliantly struck ball there by Fraser. Thundering it in. Almost deceiving Bonner. I think he might just have got a slight touch to that, Jim.
I think he did touch it, but it was a magnificent strike from Cammy Fraser. He is a tremendous striker of the ball from outside the ball.
And showing how potent he can be in that area.
Rangers look to have changed their tactics very slightly with Ted McMinn now sitting wide on the right here. I think they've been a wee bit worried about the amount of play Murdo McLeod is starting down the left-hand side.
And White puts it very coolly back. Aitken wants to come forward. Fraser totally missing that. Now Ferguson. McMinn. There's McMinn. There he is, McMinn, I think, in a very good position, and the whistle has blown for that tackle.
It was a wee bit unfortunate there, the referee was facing the wrong way because it was more of an advantage for that move to continue. That was for Rangers, but
Fraser taking that free kick. There is Butcher up. Ali McCoist. He couldn't find any poise in that shot.
Celtic were ridiculous there, very slow in picking up, and Butcher was completely free, and also as his header came across the box, Ali McCoist was left with a tremendous chance.
These are the chances that really should be put away in a cup final. Durant, Cooper. Oh, nice play there by Ferguson. It was now Cooper. Oh yes, a booking for that. Yes, referee will book Roy Aitken for that. And is getting a bit testy. The referee, David Syme, by the way, as we watch this foul, told me that he really likes to exert his authority immediately and fuel the temperature of the game, whether the players respond to him or not. And I think somebody may be booked for talking back. And that is twice that Davy Cooper's had some rough treatment. At the end of it is a free kick. Kicked away by McAnally. Johnson, Celtic attacking. Big numbers. Johnston, and that's neatly picked up by David Cooper of all people. And there'll be a booking. There's a booking for McAnally for that challenge.
Well, I would hope that this game doesn't get out of hand, because I think that on view today you've more of the best players in Scotland right at this moment, and I think it could be a tremendous advert for football. But at the moment the referee's finding it tough to settle the players down.
Long one by Butcher, should go to White, and does. McAnally, Johnston. Long legs of Butcher again. Fraser lying very deep. Run by Durant. Beautiful ball. And Rangers get the corner. And Rangers seem to have picked up, Jim, from that initial statement that you made in terms of the tactical change.
They're definitely playing two wingers now, and Ian Durant is playing just off Ali McCoy's. And it's curbing the moves from McLeod at left back for Celtic. I think they were dictating the game there.
That's Mickman with a corner. Monroe should get that to Cooper. There's Monroe. Oh, that's another one. Surely a free kick. No. What this time, the referee said. Butcher. That's McStay to Monty McLeod. It's McLeod to White. No real test for Butcher, that one straight to him. Plays down the middle, but Wood should be there. I've thought once or twice this season, Jim, that Woods a little shaky for cross balls, but he seems to be playing very calmly today.
I think earlier in the season both he and Terry Butcher found it difficult, because the game in Scotland is definitely a lot faster, and players don't get near enough time on the ball that they do down in England, in particular for Terry Butcher. But I think that Chris Woods definitely took time to settle as well.
Warning there by Alan McCoy as to who the boss is. The determined face of David Syme you saw. Roy Aikman to take this. Nicholl watching it, it is down, and a very good header down by McAnally. And this is where Rangers will certainly miss David McPherson. Rangers wanting to build it from the back. Here's Fraser and Butcher. Christ. Beautiful play by White. McStay beginning to spray the passes about. Grant. And straight to Woods. Durant. Cooper. McMinn. Here's McMinn, and it wasn't far away. First real positive contribution in the game. And with that little jink that you'll see here, so characteristic of him now, and then letting fly.
Both managers should be complimented on their tactics here today, because there is not one player out there been sent out to stop the other player from playing. Both 11 players, the 10 outfield players in each team, are out there to play their own game.
And that's always heartening to see. That is a free kick, yes. Aiken with it. Nicol just getting his head there. Fraser had all the time in the world, a very accurate pass. Durant, good play. Well, McCoyce was running through the middle and offside, and for some odd reason, McMinn refused to part with the ball. That was McInally coming in from the back, looking dangerous. McMinn. Free kick. As Monty McLeod had that ball in his possession all the way. Little bit of tongue wagging going on down there, and it's a lot of bickering going on. Nicol. And the free kick. Yes, McInally late in on the tackle. Jimmy Nicol can hardly believe it. Alan McInally. I think the referee's got to have a word. I think he's having a word with Jimmy Nicol. He might have been saying something uncomplimentary. That it was hard enough. Now, if the referee, if David Simon's going to do what he intended to do and what he was talking about, he's really got to stamp his authority on this match. Free kick to Rangers. Looked like a push at the back, and Davy Cooper tries to go in, and it's flicked back by young Derek White. He's playing a very cool role there for Celtic in the middle for such a young man. Durant going hard at it in midfield, both sides. Two young players there together, Durant and the Celtic player Shepherd. I was just about to say we haven't seen much of Maurice Johnson so far, but that is his copyright, isn't it? He goes through a game, and the only time you see him is when he puts the ball in the net sometimes. The greatest snatcher of goals in the business, no question about that. And it's a free kick to Celtic. Paul McStay, I think, will take this. Cluster of players in that penalty area. McStay culling it way over and brought down there by Fraser. Ferguson. Good play by Ferguson. Playing right in the middle of the park, trying to emulate the style of his manager. There's Ferguson. Durant. And McMinn didn't take off after that. I thought it was a perfectly reasonable pass by Ian Durant. Just kept in. Cooper. Using that left foot of his beautifully again. Now McMinn. Beautiful play by Cooper again, trying to go around the outside and tackled superbly by Peter Grant. Jim was suggesting there's a lot of individual skill out there in the park today. There's another little reverse pass. Oh, good interception by White, having an outstanding game for Celtic. McInally. White, of course, Jim, was a central defender when he came to Celtic, as I understand.
That's definitely his best position. He was signed and played most of his early part of his career as a centre-half, and I think that's where Celtic always intended playing him.
Now Durant. Ferguson. Here's McMahon. Now Ferguson. McMahon on the run. It's away wide and too wide for Durant, yes. Ian Durant, the scorer of the only goal on the last occasion the two met at Ibrox. Danny Bonner indicating somebody to get into space. Yes, I think Jimmy Nicholl was pushing into McGee. Nicholl, of course, an internationalist as well. And with Northern Ireland, he's been under some intense pressure around the world and played very, very well. There he is, very good defender. The clear ball has gone over. Brian Leclerc is, some people think he's just as effective coming from deep positions, long runs of his. There's Fraser. Oh, that was a mistake. McInally going in. Looked like a hand was used, but the referee waves play on. And slight hesitancy in that Rangers defence, causing a flutter amongst the ranks and the terracings. Cooper just came off on Grant. Durant, fine tackle. Ferguson, excellent play, switching it entirely. Cooper's in the inside. Here's Cooper, and they're bumping into one another. Slight appeal by Davy there for a penalty, but Mr. Syme having none of it. Waving play on, the referee, McInally. Nice run by McInally. Puts us there. What an excellent game this is turning out to be. Sliding off Terry Butcher's foot. I like the fluctuation in the play now, Jim.
Well, as I said earlier, both managers, there's not one bit of fear in either team, and they're going out there to win the game. It's when you get one team going out to not lose the match that it definitely takes away from the spectacle.
And whatever the outcome, coming from a manager who's won a lot in the game himself and renowned as a tactician, at the end of the day I think both managers will certainly earn the praise of many people for the way they've approached it. Oh, Durant looking a bit undignified. Stay. Handled, yes, free kick. Offside. And I think, in fact, the free kick will be retaken. I think he stole about 10 yards on that, Paul. Ball will have to be taken back. Roy Aiken to take it. Well, Woods committed himself for the punch. Not all that effective. Fraser sending forward some lovely passes. Here's McCoist. Here's Durant. Brilliant move. It really was an intelligent move, that, Jim.
It's a great early ball from Alan McCoist and a good run by Ian Durant, but a very poor finish.
Well, there it is, that early ball that you're talking about, coming up here, lovely touch inside, and Durant deciding to let blast. Very, very like the sound iron shot again. But look at that pass by Fraser. Been doing a lot of that, accurate passing. Nice touch inside, and he chipped it. That's an excellent ball. Durant had to cut back though. Fraser a little bit slow that time. McGee. Monroe, Harden, Aiken. Wanting to storm forward again, I think. Changed his mind slightly. Next day. Grant, brilliant tackle. Cooper. Give Durant. Way that far side is Ali McCoist. Cooper going to the outside. Here's McCoist. Calls it round and one of McLeod. And the Celtic goalkeeper taking it easily. Not enough Rangers players in that penalty area for that ball. And White, in that last tackle, he received a knock. He just went off for minor adjustment and back on now. Cooper. Monroe. Talking about attacking mood, certainly the Rangers left back has indicated that. There's a shot. Ferguson coming up. Nevertheless, Jim, a lot of constructive play in the field at the moment. And at this stage, with about almost gone half an hour, let's go another each. Is there anybody you think has the edge particularly?
I think Celtic definitely started the better of the two sides, but I think the change in Rangers' tactics have most certainly helped, and at the moment it's very even. I think the first goal will be very important, but I still believe that either team can come back from that because they both believe that they are the best team.
Shepherd. Good tackling there, solid stuff. All fair. Stay. Offside. Nice enough ball by Paul McStay to Mark McGee. McStay's influence in this game, of course, could be enormous. He's a highly talented player, and one just feels over the last season and a half, there's been a restraint about him that he didn't have when he started off with Celtic, Jim.
I think beyond any shadow of doubt, the problem with Paul McStay, if there is a problem, is that we're far too many games for players to play. I think it's ludicrous the amount of games that we play. These players, like say Paul McStay, will play at least 60 games per season, and that's okay for the odd season, but I would be certain that Paul's played around 60 games a season, every season since he's come into Celtic first team.
High one again. Falling loose. Aiken. Straight through to Woods. Woods was well out of his goal as that ball was floated towards his penalty area. High up and under. McLeod. Well, that was a good tackle by McMinn. More a defender's tackle on the defender. One of McLeod who will play his heart out, of course, for his club. Mistake there by Monroe. That's McGee. There's the header, and Woods decides He wants to hold the ball. I think that was going fast in any case. Certainly the Rangers goalkeeper has looked in the mood today. Very sharp. And he decided that header by McClare was not going to go over the line anyway. Grant. Shepherd. Durant. McStay. Grant trying to find the opening and labouring it. Not if a Clyde was telling him he was in the free, but sometimes players don't have eyes in the back of their heads. They ought to. No, Wickey's won by Mo Johnson. Well, I suppose in the international, for example, Jim, in Dublin, the Scottish strikers were criticised, but they didn't get very much service, it seemed to me. But he's not had all that much service in this game so far.
Even Andy Gray, who scored quite a few goals for us, needed to get the crosses, and I think that the service that the strikers are getting in the modern game it's extremely difficult for players to continually score goals, and it's almost impossible if you're not getting good service.
And that wasn't good service there. Goalkeeper's ball all the way. Nicely set up too. There were Celtic players charging in and out. It was just too long. Durant. Kleist. Easily touched back. Aiken. Terry Butcher trying to organise the line for his defence. He was just out of picture there, but there he is. Alan McInally didn't quite get that one. Long and hard. And again, an easy one to be mopped up. Terry Butcher's normally very good with that left foot of his. Accuracy of passing. Ferguson. Kleist. There's McCoist. Derek Ferguson, and that was too obvious. Picked up by Tony Shepherd. And a bad ball by Shepherd. Yeah, more and more, Jim, a break of a ball here could decide this game. It's one of these factors, isn't it? A little bit of bad luck for one or the other.
I think that's obviously always very important.
Aiken. Aiken screaming at somebody there. I think it was Peter Grant, I think, trying to get away from a marker. Nobody was coming towards Aiken. There's Butcher stabbing it well, and Aiken has that covered. Ten minutes to half time. Still no scoring. Little bit of a shove there, yes. And there's been an air of disbelief amongst some of the players at some of the decisions, and I can't quite understand why. The referee hasn't put a foot wrong yet. I think he's let one or two things go that he shouldn't have. Paul McStay trying to bust through, and I think offside.
Was offside.
Yes, it was offside. Little bit of an argument there with the linesman, but as it was pushed through, there was Johnson as the ball had been put through to him. Aiken power of strength again. The hoist. Just a little bit too cute with that. Easily read by White, who's, as I said, been quite outstanding for Celtic. Youngster with all the bearing of a man of great experience. It's a useful combination. Fraser, there's Cooper. Well, a lot of the players finding it difficult to keep their feet, a lot of them slipping. Martin McLeod, now Shepherd. That's a useful ball, finding McGee. Mighty one, and the way down, and there is a shot. Paul McStay, no weight behind it. I think he might have been slightly surprised that he got that. He was just looking a bit static as the ball broke down towards him. Yeah, well, it was obviously put to him by the Rangers player. They have surprised him. Free kick. And Ted McMinn looks in that crumpled heap there. So he's really in some pain. He recovered, as you probably know, from a fractured foot injury, and well, he's recovered quickly enough there. The Tin Man, they call him, for obvious reasons. Well, that ball by Fraser Ferguson, and offside given, I think, yes. I make it about 7 minutes to half time. Blue line is up again. That's Monroe. Hoist. Ball had gone over, I think. Challenging for the ball. I think disputing whose throw it was. Determined look about Roy Aitken, and
he looks to be having a quiet word with the referee, and he's silly after being booked.
Always dangerous, dissent of any kind. Hooked away by Ali Dawson. Aitken. Here's Durant. Aitken should have that covered, but it's a slack ball. Now Cooper. Oh, great tackle by White. Quite outstanding for Celtic.
That's 2 interceptions that Derek White have made in the game so far, and both of them absolutely magnificent.
It's gone wide, and there's nobody going for it for Rangers. Picked up by Martin McLeod. White. McInally's got in behind people. It was not offside. Looked very quickly over to the linesman. Terry Butcher wasn't happy about that, but it was a chance for McInally. Free kick, surely, yes. Free kick to Celtic. Now Paul McStay. McClare. Is McInally. Oh, poor effort there by McInally. He had players inside him to running forward. I think he made the wrong decision to have a goal like that. Oliver Coy's definitely getting a centre, but no pressure in the Celtic defence. Roy Aitken had all of 20 yards to play with there, standing well behind Rangers attackers. Butcher. McStay picked it up very well indeed. And Jimmy Nicholl. Using the old heat. Not being ruffled. Fraser. Aiken read that brilliantly, and he wants to come forward. Aiken, nice little ball to Johnston, and it's off. Now McGee, brilliantly saved and whipped away. Up comes Shepherd, and now Rangers on the counter-attack. What a marvellous bit of football. Cooper, one of a crowd, picks him off now. Great run there originally by Aiken. Superb finishing pass, almost put away by Johnston. And really, for the first time in the game, Celtic did look menacing. Jim?
I think the goalkeeper actually touched that one onto the post, and if so, it was a magnificent save. But the extra defender with Roy Aitken coming from the back. Terrific pass here. No, I don't think the goalie got a touch.
Certainly got it there all right, that mattered too. One of the best moves in the game. And Rowe just puts it away. Ali McCoist. Aiken, Ferguson, beautiful play. Jimmy Nicholl now. Nicholl for Rangers. To Cooper. Pat Bonner calming everybody down. He had unbelievable saves against Dynamo Kiev. Superb game he had. McInally. McGee. Monroe goes with him. Celtic now looking very promising, but crowded out. Here's McGee and a corner kick. The Rangers defence on the right there. And this is where they'll be put to the test, and how valuable the experience of men like Nicholl will be. As we approach half-time, there's only a minute and a half on our watch of official time of this first half. It's the looking one, and it's just over. McInally. Either McInally or White got that final touch. Let's have a look. Up they went, and it was White, I think, yes. Cooper. Put away by White. Maurice Johnston. Another good period for Celtic this. How vital it would be for either side to get a goal at this stage. And he curls it round again. Always a chance that the goalkeeper would make a mistake for a ball like that, Jim, with people running in on him.
If he does, Celtic will definitely score, because Celtic's always got players falling up. They definitely get far more players.
Brilliantly taken down by Cooper. Now McMinn. Rangers will get the corner for that.
Celtic always get far more players in the box than Rangers are so far this game.
And Davy Cooper will take this. Pat Bonner defending the goal with the Celtic support massing behind him. Cooper to take this. Waiting for Butcher to get right up. There's the header, and I think the half-time whistle is gone, yes. It's half-time. There is no scoring in this Gold Cup final. Paul McStay, one of the fine players we've had on the park, and I'm sure Jim will agree with me, even as the game is very evenly balanced, it is good to report that it has been an attacking game of football, and some of the youngsters are playing like veterans.
All right, from the word go, both teams have been out there to prove that they're the best. And I think one of the outstanding players so far has been the boy Derek White at centre-half. I think he's had a tremendous match.
Saw Graham Souness having a rather testy exchange there with the referee, complaining about something or other, and just led away quietly. But there, that's the position at the moment. we'll be coming back, of course, to the commentary position. Meanwhile, downstairs, Dougie Donnelly has Andy Gray with him, and let's see what Andy thought of that first half.
Yes, out here in the relative calm of our studio at the back of the main stand. That was a marvellous first half, obviously, Andy. What's your impressions on the first 45 minutes?
I thought the way the game started was unbelievable, Dougie. I mean, for a cup final, you expect people to be a little bit tentative, maybe a little bit nervous. There's so many young lads out there playing today, and you'd have thought they'd maybe take a little time to see how the game was going. But both teams have got straight at us. Jim McLean said there hasn't been a negative thought in any player's mind. It's all been positive. Get forward, let's try and win this game. We want to show we're the best. And, you know, we've been sitting here and thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish we were only out there in the ground, that's the only thing. But I've thoroughly enjoyed the game. It's been a great advert again for Scottish football. Which
is a great thing, because there are something like 40 million people going to see this game from throughout Europe and South America and the Middle East. And as you say, a great advert for the game. And I think a good point you made, Andy, that there's so many youngsters out there. Derek White, Jim McLean mentioned, he's 18, he's only just 18, and he looks as if he's been playing cup finals all his life.
That's right. Derek's had a tremendous game. He's made a couple of tremendous interceptions, and I'm sure he'll be delighted, because I think if in the last game he had a bit of a poor game against Ted McMahon, but today he's been absolutely outstanding at the heart of the Celtic defence and made 2 excellent interceptions. The boy Ferguson as well, I've been very impressed by him in midfield, and the little boy in Durant. Again, 2 young kids that have done very, very well. I think probably the only youngster, the little boy Shepherd, has taken some time to get into the game, but I'm sure he'll benefit now from having 45 minutes under his belt.
Yeah. It was a funny sort of first half, because it was all Celtic in the opening 10 minutes, then Rangers had a very good spell for maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and towards the end it was Celtic that were doing all the pressing.
As Jim said, it's balanced on a knife edge. Celtic started tremendously well, and we thought, well, they're going to do something here. Rangers got hold of the game for 10-15 minutes and had a couple of good chances, and then Celtic have finished the game, the first half, tremendously well, and could have gone 1-up.
Well, let's take a look at one or two of the incidents from that first half then, and of course there were 2 incidents of the ball striking the woodwork, 1 for each side. The first of those was Cammy Fraser's shot from the free kick, which hit the post early on, and what a shot it was too.
Yeah, everyone knows how good Cammy is, I think, striking the ball from these distances, and Celtic must have known it, and he's no fears. He goes up. It's a great shot. I don't know whether Pat Bonner got a touch, and I think Alan McCoy still probably think he should have done a little bit better, but a tremendous strike from Cammy, and anywhere in that range and he's going to have a go.
Now he of course is in not match fit, possibly, because he's not had a game, he's been injured.
He's looked alright.
He's looked alright, hasn't he, for somebody whose fitness was in a little bit of doubt. Yeah. Do you think Rangers are missing Graham Souness, Andy?
I think anyone with Graham's ability you're going to miss, and I think Rangers have missed him. But as I said, I've been very impressed with the 2 boys in midfield, like Ferguson and Durant, and that's probably cushioned the blow a little bit. But they definitely miss someone like with Graham's ability, and I think as the game goes on, if it's still 0-0, the longer the game goes on, then the missing Souness influence will come in even more to the fore then, I think.
Ted McMahon, now, he was the star man and the last time you were up, Andy, for the league match at Ibrox, which Rangers won, and he gave Derek White a bit of a roasting that day, but today he's not been quite so effective, largely due to the fact Murdo McLeod's played him so well. We'll maybe ask you about that in a second, but he did have 1 great shot from about 25 yards out, which only just slipped past the post.
Yeah, this is what he's capable of, Ted, isn't it? I mean, he can be out the game for such a long time and do nothing, and then all of a sudden, you know, the ball just gets played to him in a position really where you don't expect him to be doing anything. He just slips past the boy and has a goal, and that's very close. I mean, it's so close that Pat Bonner scrambling across his goal. Yes. So he thought it was very close, and it wasn't far away.
What about Murdo McLeod, who again his fitness has been a little bit of doubt. He didn't maybe look 100% on Wednesday against Kiev, but he's had a marvellous game.
I'm a great fan of Murdo, so I like Murdo. He's my type of player, and I think he's been brilliant today. He's coped with Ted McMahon any time he's came on the right wing. So much so that Ted's wandering about. Actually, he's not particularly holding this right side, which he did so well in the Old Firm game at Ibrox. He's wandering in the field, and I'm sure it's purely because he thinks he's not going to get much change out of Murdo, and Murdo's had a tremendous game in my opinion anyway.
The Celtic midfield possibly have been a little bit of a disappointment for Davy Hay. I'm just thinking of the McClare, McStay, Shepherd hasn't really quite come off for them yet, and maybe that's where they're losing out just at the moment to Rangers.
If Rangers have had an advantage, it's probably been in that midfield area. But Paul McStay now, near the end of the last 10 minutes, has got himself more into the game. I thought he was very quiet early on, but the more the game's gone on, the more influence he's taken on in the game. And in the last 10 minutes, Paul himself could even probably have scored late on there in the first half, and he had that snapshot. But he's taken more control of the midfield, and you probably see a lot tighter midfield from Celtic second half.
Right. Well, the one incident which I think possibly came closest of all to giving us a goal in that first half was at the moment when Big Roy Aitken came charging forward and caused all sorts of havoc. He maybe would be looking to do that more often in the second half.
I was surprised that Roy didn't look to do that more often in the first half. You know, he's got the ability to do it, and he busts forward here and slips it from it. Mo holds his run brilliantly here, tells him where he wants it. and that's a great finish. It's so unfortunate. It's a tremendous finish. But to be fair, Chris Woods has done tremendously well at the second attempt there, when I think it was Mark McGee had the shot. But that's typical Mo Johnston. He's had a quiet game, I think. Archie was saying how he hasn't been in the game much, and he can just pop up, and before you know it, you're one down. And that's very, very typical of him. But I think if Celtic are going to go at Rangers, I think they can do it with Roy Aitken, strangely enough. He's got the ability to go forward and let Derek White sit there and mark Ali McCoist. And I think, you know, just in that one incident, it showed how important it can be, and it just might win a cup final for them.
That's right.
But it's great. I mean, again, we can't talk enough how good the cup final is, about people going forward and wanting to win it. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's, I think, a significant fact, the Roy Aitken coming forward, Andy, because in the semi-final he did it against Motherwell here, scored an absolutely classic goal, rounded it off himself in exactly that type of run. And as you said, there's no one actually playing on him. There only is McCoist going through the middle at this stage, so maybe he's going to have the room to come
I think he will do, and I was surprised that he's left it so late in the first half before he's taken it on himself to go forward, break forward. But I think that'll have given him confidence to think, well, wait a minute, I'm going to have a little go at this second half. I might just get something here. And I think he probably will burst forward a bit more second half. I'm sure Davy Hay will be telling him, listen, Roy, if you get a chance, go on, let's see a bit more of that.
Let's see a little bit more of Derek White, Andy, because I think we've all been very impressed with Derek White, and his timing in the tackle has been very impressive this afternoon. Now, this is an example here. Yeah,
for a very young lad, I mean, he's got a bit of stature about him, and I think this is Davy Cooper goes on a tremendous run, and if he beats Derek here, he's in. You know, he's right through. If you look there, he's right through, but he's timed the tackle to perfection, and that must have given him tremendous confidence. You know, for a young lad, he's dived in, but he hasn't, you know, and he's gone on his backside, if you like, and if he gets past him, then he's right through, but he's timed it to perfection, and Celtic have come away with the ball. Great tackle.
We've had a couple of bookings, Andy, Roy Aitken and Big Alan McInally, for reasonably innocuous fouls, both early on, and I think a word of praise to referee Davy Syme for nipping it in the bud.
I think Davy Syme said to himself when I go out there, if there's any nonsense early on, I'm booking. No matter who it is, I'm booking him. And I'm going to show that I'm the boss here. And I think the referee's done particularly well. I know Roy will feel he's a bit aggrieved that two nothing tackles, probably Alan McInally as well, but it's significant that they're the only two. Very early in the game, he's only booked to two, and the rest of the players, I think, have responded from that, and he said, well, let's go on with the game.
He's letting it
it's
flow.
Not me.
Yeah.
The game's what everybody wants to see, not me booking players. So he's stamped his authority early on, and the game's gone and taken over now.
Right. So there we are at half-time then, it's no scoring. I wonder just in the two dressing rooms just now, Andy, whether either manager's contemplating any changes either in the way the game's being played, maybe bringing on some substitutes. I mean, Rangers have got two youngsters really, Robert Fleck, who's been in goal-scoring form, David McFarlane, the youngster as well. Celtic with Willie McStay on the bench as well. Any changes?
One can never tell in football dressing rooms what's happening at half-time, but at the risk of sticking my neck out and getting it shot off, I would be surprised if there's any changes this early in the game. You know, especially with it having to be decided today, Dougie, with extra time and possibly penalties. I think both Davy Hay and Graham Souness will maybe hold back the substitutes to a little bit later on in the game when they say, like, maybe bring the boy Fleck on, Graham, if he feels he's got to get back in it, I've got to go and win it. And I think it's just a little bit early now. I'd be surprised actually if they bring on any substitution, unless of course someone's carrying an injury, of course.
Right. Well, I think we all said before the game we hoped that this Skull Cup final wasn't going to be settled in penalties. It's a kind of unsatisfactory way to win a trophy, but the way it's going, it could very well go that far.
It could well be. It could well be. I think both managers have come out and says, listen, we don't want it to go to penalties. I think the players have responded and they're saying, we don't want it to go to penalties. It's totally unsatisfactory. And they said, let's get a winner within either the 90 minutes or the extra time. And let's hope that we do get a winner within that period.
You're a brave man that chose which end it would come at.
I certainly wouldn't choose it.
Me neither. Let's look for some more action in the second half as we've enjoyed in the first half. Marvellous cup final. Let's go back out again and savour some of the atmosphere as the team's prepared to come out for that second half. Once again with Jim McLean and Archie McPherson.
Thank you, Dougie. As always, for an Old Firm game, we have people coming from all over the world, and would you believe, having a cup of tea with some friends in a local hostelry just before we came across here. I actually met a gentleman who's a member of the Falklands Islands branch of the Celtic Supporters Association. I also know people who've flown in to support Rangers from Canada, from Toronto. Might very well be sitting or standing in there in the traditional Rangers end. That is the kind of following that these two clubs attract. It is always marvellous, as I said, for a Rangers player to know that you have that kind of affiliation by so many people around the world. No matter where I've gone in football business, I've always bumped into Rangers and Celtic supporters all over the place. And Roy Aitken leading out Celtic and heading down towards the Rangers end. And Celtic will have the benefit of a wind. I'm just looking at the corner flags at the moment. I'm not sure if it's as strong as it was at the start. It doesn't seem to be, but of course Hampden is notorious for a swirl and for the sudden winds that blow up. But Rangers certainly had a distinct advantage with that wind in the first half. Well, Jim, I don't think Andy said anything that was inconsistent with how you've been analysing the game for us so far.
Well, I think that that's probably the first time in 15 years that a player's ever agreed with my assessment of the game. But I think it's been an easy game to assess, actually, because I think there's been a lot of good players out there today.
Interesting point that Andy made about substitutions and how it wouldn't come so early in the game. In fact, I thought I saw McMinn indicating something to the bench, almost as if he was suffering some slight discomfort. And I'm just wondering if either he or Fraser cannot possibly last too long in this match.
I couldn't make up my mind what it was either, because I thought that it was his boot that was burst. But it was too far away to...
Off go Rangers into the second half. Ali Dawson playing for David McPherson in the centre of the defence, and now Nicol. Both defences have looked extremely confident, of course. Just little glimpses, as I said, or as Andy reiterated what I said about Mo Johnson, who seems to go along in total obscurity and then suddenly flash into a game. That's why he's so good. There's a touch by him again. Now Monroe, who's had a very good first half for Rangers.
Ali Dawson has looked very uncomfortable in there.
Monroe, he's short with that. There's Derek White. He's saying nice things and accurate things about this big youngster. This Fraser. McClair. Typical McClair run, it looks good. And mopped up by the goalkeeper again. Yes, Brian McClair. So very often you see him doing that, Jim.
That's one of his big assets, and I honestly think he's a better player from just off the front when he gets running at defences.
Sprightly start all the same by Celtic. Touch out by Durant. Cooper. With one or two absolutely excellent runs, and that is just over. I think Paul McStay imagined there might have been a deflection there. Here's Cooper. Grant comes away with that, and a foul by Cooper, yes. Free kick.
Referees are put under unbelievable pressure with players know which way the throw has gone there. It's ridiculous if Paul McStay to actually try and get a throw in a Celtic one.
They can now to take a backwards push free kick. There's Paul McStay, who, as Jim suggested, had an incredulous look on his face when the throw was given the other way.
Well, I don't think he's anything like the worst in Scotland, but far too many players put pressure on the referee when they know there's no doubt about the way offences should go.
Butcher stepping neatly in. Now McMinn. No, he wanted Fraser to go a run on the outside. And coolly back by Butcher. Read that long ball very well. Maurice Johnson was careering down the middle. Butcher. Fraser. To Nicol. Round the side it goes, and McMinn will never get that. Goal kick. McMinn hasn't really looked his exuberant self. He's made an enormous impact on Scottish football this season with his rather flamboyant way of approaching the game, but he's been very subdued today by comparison with some of the games, certainly by comparison with the game he played against Celtic at Ibrox. And oh dear, any longer there and it's hypothermia, I think, on a day like this. I don't know how you get up. Ferguson, that should be brushed away. Derek Ferguson playing usefully for Rangers in midfield, in a role that certainly would have been filled by his manager Graham Souness. Well, Ali Dawson, Jim, he got his head to that one. That was more confident touch there by Dawson, and Ian Durrant rather bogged down in midfield for Rangers at the moment. McStay. McMinn tried to touch it round, and there again. Youngster, Derek White, okay, the pass did go out, but he broke up the move.
He's human after all then.
McCoist. There's Durrant. Fraser. On there by Durrant. Fraser, and there's nobody there for Rangers. Neatly built up. And there's Butcher. Brilliant clearance by Butcher to Cooper. It's round the side and there's too much in it. And a point there in that initial move, Jim, that move by Durrant. There didn't seem enough players in the penalty area. I think Celtic, as you suggested, would have had more in there.
Well, Celtic have basically got players that want to play in the box. Rangers have midfield players that are trying to get in the box, but they most certainly don't.
And there's a better pass to McCoist, then he's offside.
I think we're now reaching the stage shortly when lacking match fitness, if there is any of the players out there playing with injuries or lacking in match fitness, it will begin to show shortly.
So we'll keep our eye open for that. Shepherd. Asking somebody to come towards him. McStay. Aiken. Nice ball by Aiken. Shepherd. Oh, beautifully done there by Ferguson. Now McCoist got away from his marker, but he couldn't make any ground at all. Here's Monroe to Butcher. McMinn is shaping to come in for this, but Murdo McLeod is there. McInally. Run by McInally. Here's McGee. Well, that's short, and it's just person, I think. What has been given? Yes, a tackle on the goalkeeper. Free kick to Rangers. I think he had to go for the ball though, Jim, hadn't he?
The referee's brilliant there, because some games, because the goalkeeper is injured, some referees may have booked Brian McClare there, but to me he had to go for the ball. I think that everybody would reckon that Maurice Johnston and Roy Aitken are always the most important players in the Celtic team, and I wouldn't disagree with that, but I would say that very close behind, Murdo McLeod and Brian McClare are very, very important to the manager. Because of the
Murdo McLeod?
Yes, because of the positions that these players both fill for the club. Murdo McLeod, I'm sure they would be confident of playing on the sweeper, any of the two full-back positions and all the midfield positions. And then Brian McClare, you can pull him back into any of the midfield roles, and you can push him up front. So no matter who gets injured, these players are adaptable and can move about and turn in tremendous performances in any of the positions we've mentioned.
I think meanwhile the goalkeeper is slowly recovering. Little word there between, and there's Graham Souness, who went off a very angry man at the end of the first half, looking anxiously towards his goal mouth. However, Chris Woods recovers. There's McInally. A nice little ball by Fraser. Good play by Rangers. That's Ferguson. Here's Cooper. Away he goes. No free kick. No, it's a good decision by the referee. That looked like a hand. Yes, it was. And that was that discomfort you were talking about. He wasn't quite sure how to go for that.
Maurice Johnson put pressure on him there tremendously.
Well, it looks as if Johnson is going to be booked. That's a third booking, all Celtic players. And there was a challenge in the hand, and I think it certainly must be something either for that tackle or something that was said. Anyway, free kick to Celtic. In they go, into that penalty area. That's Mudder McLeod. And there is Woods brilliantly clutching that. He's really shown his class today, Jim.
Absolutely magnificent there. He must have been standing 5-6 yards off his goal line when they were taking the free kick.
Coist did get the touch. Celtic getting more ball in midfield though. Butcher. Good play by Ferguson and Fraser. Now Ferguson to Cooper. Attacking Grant. Not quite away with it. They have him well watched. Ferguson. Now Fraser. Out to McMinn. Away goes McMinn, and he tries to get on the outside. The first we've seen of him in this half, taking on a defender. And I certainly think he's not as sharp as he would like to be.
I think there's no doubt about that. Ted McMinn has most certainly shown a sad lack of match fitness. And I don't mean to criticise the Rangers management, but I think they were forced into taking a gamble that they didn't like.
Durant. Monroe. McCoist. Nice turn by McCoist. Looking for a little support and gets it from Durant. Shepherd goes with him. Touched away by Ferguson. Cooper. And Monroe can only dab it to Roy Aitken. And that ball goes out. Slack play. We haven't had all that much slack play in this match. The passing has been, by and large, very accurate.
That usually comes when players start to get a wee bit tired, and the pace of this game has been tremendous. That most certainly will happen now and again.
A boot up, yes. Free kick to Rangers.
The referee's been very good on that tackle, the one where the fullback's playing the ball forward and strikers are coming in with the sole of the boot showing.
That's Butcher's free kick. Durant. Here's Durant. Away goes McGee. Oh, brilliant run by McGee. McInally after this with Nicol.
It's Brian McClare, I think.
Brian McClare, and I think a booking for Jimmy Nicol. Booking for this one. Yes, bringing his boot up. Now this could be very interesting. Free kick to Celtic. Mudder McLeod. 14 minutes of the second half gone. And way over from Brian McClare.
Celtic had 7 players inside the 18-yard box there. Now, okay, it's a set piece, but they're definitely far better at getting players into the box. Ted McMinn must try and get in the box when Davy Cooper's on the ball.
Substitution, Owen Archdeacon coming on, Jim. McGee off.
Well, that's not surprising,
Fitness
actually.
maybe? Fitness maybe?
I think it's lacking match fitness, and also I think that they're looking for Archdeacon to get some crosses into the box. 3 strikers is a very difficult system to work.
McCoist has put up, free kick to Rangers. Fraser and Bonner. Stay in a drive. Free kick again. Ali Dawson this time tackling from the back. Difficult day for Ali Dawson all the same, Jim. I mean, it's an awkward. He's been out of the team and then suddenly he's into a cup final. And right in the middle of it.
He's definitely not been exposed, but I felt he's been a wee bit uncomfortable in the air. He's got the experience of this situation, and he's not let the side down so far.
So, free kick to Celtic. Exactly 15 minutes gone now, just over it. Away by Ferguson it was. McLeod. Good tackle by Ferguson. It's a great game. Durant turns the wrong way again. Ferguson. Jimmy Nicholl. And just off there. Now, there was an interesting break by Rangers of Durant. He seems to be turning back today a lot in a positive position. Cooper brought down, free kick. And Durant can be a useful player for Rangers, Jim.
Well, he was so useful. In the last game, he scored the winner, and he actually had an exceptional game. He's obviously a young player who has had a tremendous season so far.
And Davy Cooper's down there, and I think he may need some attention.
Rangers will be hoping that he can obviously continue, because I definitely think McMinn and to a lesser extent Cammy Fraser will be, at least one of them should be probably substituted later in the game.
Well, the referee is very reluctant to let him have treatment. And so there's no treatment for him. Back he comes into the game. And Cammy Fraser is there. Butcher's there. Durant is there and scores. Durant has scored for Rangers. 1-0 with exactly 17 minutes gone. And the referee will have to drag them down again. They're not supposed to go to the crowd. And the Rangers multitudes go into a mass hysteria. Well, the very boy we were just talking about there takes his chance. Only a half chance, touched by Terry Butcher, went to the outside, and the near side of the goalkeeper. Rangers are in the lead.
Celtic lost another very important goal from a corner kick. They did lose one on Wednesday.
On to McMinn, who I think the ball's gone over. Grant, Aiken. Well, you heard Andy Gray talking at half-time about how this man might cause Rangers problems coming forward, and that's what he's trying to do now. Now, can Celtic hit back immediately? They're famed for doing so. Aiken. Way to the side, McInally. Keeper should get it and does. I think Ferguson, by the way, who's limping there, has quite an outstanding game for Rangers, Jim.
Yes, he's did exceptionally well.
McInally hesitating, and the free kick given. And this could be interesting because Celtic have players that can hit the ball well from that area.
This game is most certainly not over.
Oh, certainly not. No indication of that because a team has gone in the lead. Brian McClare, Paul McStay, Modern McLeod scored a glorious goal in the League Cup final against Rangers. Here's Shepherd. And away by the goalkeeper to Cooper. Chases on, here's Cooper. Oh, and a bad ball. You wouldn't believe that Davy Cooper could play a ball like that. Counter-attack by Celtic. This is the fresh man. Oh no, it's Deacon, and that's a little too hard. A bad blunder by Davy Cooper, that, Jim. I mean, they were really set up.
There was an easier pass down the left wing. I don't know why he chose to try and play a diagonal ball. The difficulty for Rangers players now is to try and get another goal, because players subconsciously, I think, try and hold on to the lead they've got and allow the other team to take the initiative.
Cooper. It's Brian McClare. Ollie Dawson just getting that in the air. And Celtic putting Rangers under pressure. The attendance, by the way, just handed me is 74,219. Don't know how the other 219 got in. It's supposed to be 74,000. That's a good run by McStay. And a very good ball, and McInally, Archdeacon rather, got too much under it. And he's come on as a fresh player, a fresh pair of legs. And he's made an immediate impact. Look at the position he got there. Free header. Nice touch to the side by McStay. Celtic need more of that from him, and there. Young Owen Archdeacon underneath it. Butcher to Cooper. To McCoist. Handled it. Ian Gerrard, of course, scored against Celtic the last time they played. Very wide. Oh, good tackle by Cooper. Sliding in. That's Peter Grant. And away by Nicol. Modern McLeod, and that will be throw to Rangers. White just kept it in. White coming forward. Archdeacon. There's Butcher. Whipped away by Nicol. Rangers very much on the defensive. McCoy didn't know what that ball was. White coming forward. Celtic pushing players forward. Free kick to Celtic. Again, an interesting position. Celtic fighting back immediately. And they've really got to make something out of this, Jim, isn't it? This is a good position for them.
Well, especially with Modern McLeod, I would expect that they would be thinking a good chance of a goal here.
So, can Celtic get the equaliser from this spot? We're halfway through the second half. Bit of discussing going on. There's a chip forward and it's off the bar. it's a brilliant save by the Rangers goalkeeper. Superb save. Hammered out of the danger zone.
That's one from the practice ground. That free kick was magnificently taken by Brian McClair there.
Brilliantly done by McClair. Really was. And there is a superlative save coming up. Seoul Celtic. Durant trying to go in. And now Aiken. Edison, a brilliant equaliser. McClair. Superb strike by McClair.
For me personally, I think that's a magnificent goal. A great ball from Roy Aitken, a great layoff, and a magnificent finish.
And exactly 20 minutes of the game remaining. Celtic back on level terms. With, as Jim said, a quite magnificent effort. Look at that. One touch of the ball and the second touch. No chance for the Rangers goalkeeper. And I think coming back the way they have come back, the initiative rests, I think, with Celtic. Here's Cooper. Celtic attacking again, Ali Dawson. Now Cooper. And there's no weight behind it. And you just get the impression that one or two of these Rangers players are struggling.
Well, I think the goal has lifted Celtic without doubt. The Rangers scoring the goal has brought a lot more out of the Celtic team, but I still think there's a long way to go yet. Celtic have definitely got their tails up now. I'd much rather be the Celtic manager at the moment than the Rangers one.
There's one of a cloud. And well taken by Woods. Playing it coolly. Here's Ferguson. Dawson. McCoist. Durant. Cooper. Here's Fraser. To McMinn. Whom we've probably seen anything in this game. I think Rangers get the free kick out of that. And I think he's going to talk to both Grant and McMinn. This was the actual tackle that was made. I think McMinn made a lot of that. It was all arms and legs.
Rangers are trying to bring on a substitute. Robert Fleck for Cammy Fraser, I think.
No, I think it's McFarlane.
Oh, yeah.
And there it is, Cammy Fraser. Now, losing a man like Cammy Fraser and bringing on a very inexperienced youngster is, I think, a major disadvantage. No harm to the youngster. But he's a fresh pair of legs again. There is Cooper. And it's 2-0 the goalkeeper. There's Cammy Fraser, played his part. Certainly not fully fit. Bounce of the ball, unkind. Owen Archdeacon, a good run by Owen Archdeacon. I think he's gone too far. Goal kick. And Butcher exhorting his mates. give up their all. Well, the Celtic support have erupted into life again.
We experienced that just, I think, 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago.
As McFarlane can't quite get there, Butcher to McMinn. Almost being held, McMinn going at this defence. There's Durant again. As many a player might have tried for a penalty in that situation. He was just in front of the defender.
Tony Shippert did very well there. I thought Durant had got past him. Rangers have changed their wingers.
And well clutched there by Bonnie. He's at his best with that. Aiken goes away. Brilliantly tackled by Ferguson. Just does a bit too much though. Here's Durant. And it's too strong. That's young David McFarlane who's on now. Basically he's a full-back. McMinn. Good tackle again by Grant. Not letting McMinn away with anything. To Durant. Goal kick. Could be slightly inclined to Celtic at this stage, Jim.
Oh, at the moment, I think Celtic, and especially when they've come back from a goal down, I think they're the ones that's got their tail off at the moment.
McFarlane only push it to the side. Cooper. Ferguson to Cooper. Did that brilliantly, and again, and brought down. White book this time. Well, brilliant work by Cooper, you know, right on the edge of the line. And the youngster just stood in his way. And Cooper was struggling from the last tackle he had. This is a man that Rangers can ill afford to lose at this stage, Jim.
Oh, especially with the problems that the state the game is in at the moment. I think Davy Cooper's got to get the ball or Ted McMinn and take it for a run and take the pressure off Rangers a wee bit. I think Terry Butcher at the back, his experience has been tremendous at the different stages in the game when he's toned the game down for Rangers.
Here's Durant. Cooper getting treatment. Corner kick. Butcher will come up for this. About 12 minutes remaining. Young Ian Durant. McFarlane just touched away though. Nico. On towards Butcher. I think he gets a free kick out of that, not a corner kick, a free kick. Two captains up against each other there. Very mighty men indeed. On to McMinn. There's Durant. That's the crossover. And I think the goalkeeper... No. Just for a moment I thought Celtic were getting a free kick out of that. Ali Dawson, Monroe. Domenico is there. Not sure if he meant that, but at least it puts it out of play. 3 Celtic players breathing down his neck. Butcher, well out of harm's way. Jim McLean was saying enormous experience here. Here's McMinn, doesn't quite get it. Now McCoist. It's a booking. Grant. That is Grant's second booking, I think. Sorry, it's not. Misinformed there, it's his first booking. First booking for Peter Grant.
Celtic are winning 5-1 in bookings.
And the referee having a word with Brian McClare. Free kick to Rangers. No, Tooney the goalkeeper again. Way Celtic go. McInally, lovely little ball round the side. McStay. Run by McInally here. It's a great run. Bo Johnson's in it. And they're put back and whipped away. Oh, brilliant play by Durant though. Rangers almost taken apart. Cooper. Marvellous game this is. McMinn. No, referee says a slip that time. Counter-attack by Celtic. There goes Johnston. Offside. This game has a marvellous flow to it. Alan McInally initiating that tremendous surge there by Celtic. Culminating in a icily cool piece of play by young Ian Durant, Rangers goal scorer. And then that tremendous surge to the other end. This was the run. Rangers defenders were parting. There was a touch to the side. That called Rangers all ends a problem. Now watch Durant here. Oh dear, really under pressure. Ferguson. To Cooper. Free kick. And it has been very tousy, Jim, you know, in the past 5-10 minutes.
Well, I think a lot of the problems caused by out here today, we've got players who are exceptionally capable at taking the ball at defenders, and with people that are playing in defensive positions that really aren't good tacklers.
So free kick to Rangers.
We definitely lack in the game enough players to take the ball to opposing defenders.
Goes for a penalty kick there. It's a given. It's a penalty to Rangers. Butcher was fouled according to the referee. And I make it about 7 minutes remaining as that was hoisted up and Butcher went down and the referee pointed to the spot, and there's going to be bother for a Celtic player. I don't know which one it is. There it is again. Jim?
No doubts at all, penalty kick.
And I think it's the Celtic goalkeeper being booked. Now, Jim, you played in some important games. You've watched a lot of important games as a manager. Would you really like to be in a player's shoes at a stage like this?
Well, I think Davy Cooper, if he's taking a penalty kick, had a nice rehearsal down at Wales not so long ago.
And it was a penalty kick that was almost saved by the keeper. So, a vital moment in this game. I make it 5.5 minutes remaining of the Skol Cup final. Penalty to Rangers. 2-1. Done with the greatest simplicity by the man hoisted up by McCoy's, Davy Cooper. And once again, the Rangers supporters erupt. Now Sinis and Walter Smith making some sort of indication there. And Celtic have got exactly 5 minutes to save this match and put it into extra time. There is Butcher. And there's McFarlane. That's surely a free kick. Yes, free kick to Rangers. It's one of these things, Jim, that the game, we said at the start, the game would hinge on a bit of luck, an awkward break, and
I'm very sorry.
That was a bit of luck, but it's, as you say, it's a tragedy for the team to concede that at that stage.
Yes, it's very, very difficult to accept a penalty kick against you. You're always looking from your point of view, but to me there was no doubt about it.
Well, Celtic have shown in the past how strongly they can come back. As said, the initiative rested with them. Grant, neatly inside. White. And there was a real collision there. Roy Aitken, very irate. Real head collision. I think it was quite accidental. I must say I was watching the ball.
No, I disagree. I think it's a bookable offence, and I think he will be booked.
Yes. Certainly a booking for Ali McCoy when he gets up. That was the infringement, and he's suffering.
He'll suffer more shortly.
And I'm not sure if Rangers would substitute Robert Fleck at this stage, but he's booked. No substitution, free kick to Celtic. On it goes. And I think the linesman is going to report an incident. He is indeed. Interesting to see what they are conferring about. Taking a long time about it, and he's going to speak to who? Right now, what's going on? He's bringing players across. What's going on? This is very intriguing, Jim.
I didn't see anything happen at all. I was watching the McCoy's incident.
There's a booking for Monroe. And Johnson will go off. Rangers now playing against 10 men. And there is another one. And it's really getting hot out there. I think another Celtic player has been ordered off. He certainly showed another red card there, Jim.
Yes, I think it's Tony Shepherd.
This has all come from an incident, and there's David Hay getting into bother, and it's a tragedy that this cup final is ending this way. I have in front of me a note from the Scottish League which says that they hope that the teams will be conscious of the importance of maintaining
The
a
referee's
correct
changed the
and
decision there.
sportsmanlike league.
He definitely showed a red card.
He definitely showed a red card, however the game goes on. No.
Robert Fleck for Alan
Fleck
McCoy.
is now coming on for Ali McCoist. Free kick to Celtic. And we have no idea what that stoppage time was. I would make it there's still a full 4 minutes of playing time left, although our watch shows 45 minutes. Excellent save by the Rangers goalkeeper under pressure. Well, that was utter confusion, Jim. He certainly showed a red card. Maybe it was insisting that the original sending off was right and correct. Maybe that's what it was.
Well, I can't understand what happened there at all.
So Mo Johnson is off the pitch. I think they were squaring up to each other. I think we can perhaps show this incident. Way downfield it goes. And there goes the final whistle. Rangers have won the Skol League Cup final under very controversial circumstances near the end. The cup goes to Ibrox. And there is joy at the Rangers camp. And a very angry Celtic manager and players. And away on the far side, as the Rangers supporters begin to celebrate, long figure of Owen Archdeacon. And there's a very sporting handshake there. Davy Hay must be sad, embittered perhaps, and deeply disappointed. And the Celtic goalkeeper has already been ought to get off. And Rangers have won the first trophy of the season. Now, let me just explain to you, the Scottish League, rather dampening things in my view by having them in a protocol in the centre. Man of the match, not surprisingly, Derek Ferguson, who I thought played quite brilliantly for Rangers.
I would most certainly agree that it should have been a Derek, but it was hard to choose between Derek Ferguson and Derek White.
And so Rangers take the trophy. And they're insisting and going towards the supporters. They're not really supposed to go near the support until after the presentation.
It must have been a nerve-wracking end to that game.
Yeah, I don't think we played particularly well today, but at the end of the day, you've got to be happy with the result. Cup finals. I think all the players that were involved today were kind of nervous. We certainly didn't play anything like I wanted us today. But we're happy with the result.
What was it like for you sitting on the bench at an Old Firm Cup final here at Hampden? Must have been frustrating.
I'd much rather have been playing. No, it's not. In one way, it's a great feeling, but on another way, it's a tell. I mean, I'm not a nervous person, but I've been shaking for the last hour and a half.
Well, what about the fans now behind you? You're obviously pleased for them.
At the end of the day, you've got to be pleased for them more than the players.
Right, we'll let you...
They've had a lot of bad years in the past, and we're only going to try and fulfill all their hopes.
Well, do enjoy it. Thank you.
Don't speak to the players.
Right, okay. Yes, how do you feel about that, sir?
Well, do you think? And listen to it, it's fantastic. I feel... Well, I'm trying to savour every moment. I was going to flash by, but... and all credit to Celtic, because I thought they came out in the second half and went to defend resolutely. I thought Chris Woods had a magnificent game today. He really justified his feet today. I thought, well, with him behind us, he took a hell of a shot from Brian McLeod to beat us, and at the end of the day, I mean, it was a penalty. I mean, that was my ball all the way when I was pulled down, so I think justice was done in the end, but, you know, what an atmosphere.
You played at big games at Wembley. What about the atmosphere here?
I think it's the best in the world. Played in World Cups and before, but incredible.
Congratulations.
Well, there we are. Well, there are the Rangers players now coming up for the presentation. And I totally agree with Terry Butcher there. Chris Woods was quite superb today. True international form. There he is. And have taken a long, long time to get this cup presentation. I can't quite understand why they just don't get them up and get it over and done with. There's David McPherson. There is a cup waiting with a shot of David McPherson there, who was suspended for today. And now Terry Butcher will become the first Englishman to lift that League Cup trophy high in air as the captain of a Scottish club. Expectantly waiting for him, David Holmes of Rangers, Jim Farry, Mrs. Galletley, who will be making the presentation. And there is Terry Butcher, the first Englishman to hold that League Cup trophy aloft. And he'll do it right now. The huge Ranger support packed in here. Two cups for the price of one. Behind him, the Rangers goalkeeper Chris Woods, Jimmy Nicholl, Cammy Fraser, Ali McCoy's hirpling, but winning a cup like that is a fair enough anaesthetic, is it not? Ted McMinn. And there was the man of the match, Derek Ferguson, and Davy Cooper, who so calmly stroked home one of the most vital penalty kicks he's ever had to take. And up will go Celtic for their medals, but out comes Terry Butcher, where they are allowed to go down to their supporters. And not a single Rangers supporter has left Hampden Park. There's a very gallant Celtic side. Cammy Fraser, Terry Butcher, and they've got to get right across there and have the photographs taken. A delighted Terry Butcher. And look at that for a contrast. Dejected Celtic players, and I know exactly how they feel. And the Rangers supporters demanding that their team goes back down there to greet them. Well, they're in the party mood, and I would imagine that party's going to go on for a few hours yet. Rangers, who played by common consent very disappointingly on Thursday night, have produced the goods when it mattered, and round they go with the cup. To the delighted Rangers legions on the terracing. And Graham Souness has disappeared from all of this. He's leaving it to his players. And the Rangers have players giving them plenty sight of the cup. He's been commandeered by the photographers. And our cameraman down there running around is doing a marvellous job. Part of the 74,000 crowd, 74,219 officially recorded. And the players patiently posing for photographs. There's Chris Woods, who had a quite outstanding game.
Hello, okay. Henry, how did you feel when you stood up to take the penalty?
Well, it's a wee bit nervy at first, but I knew I would score, you know. I had confidence.
You had a few difficult penalties, one a couple of years ago against Wales, I seem to remember.
Yeah.
How did that rate amongst them all?
Well, they're all important when it comes to finals, you know, and it's an important penalty, but I'm glad I got it.
How much do you know about which way Pat Bonner normally goes on a penalty?
Sorry?
How much do you know about which way Pat Bonner would normally go on a penalty?
I didn't know. I just picked a side.
Chose a side, that's it.
Yeah.
Many congratulations, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Ian Durant's with us as well. Ian, to set the scene for Rangers.
Oh, I don't know, Celtic come back strong, you know, so when you go one up ahead, you're always the back your mates, Celtic are going to come back, you know, so I thought we need another goal to make it sure, and then Kirk just stepped up and make it 2-1.
Maybe you could describe the goal to us. How did you see it?
Well, it was a free kick that came across, and it just sort of come off Big Terry's head. I just fell the ball, on in my bad foot. I goes, oh no, here we go, so I just had to shut my eyes and had it.
You're making a habit of scoring against Celtic these days.
Oh, as long as I have to keep doing it. Carry still.
Thanks very much.
And delighted young men there. Well, Davy Cooper's not all that young, but certainly Ian Durant is the star of in the making, a real star. And the Rangers players must be exhausted out there. Certainly not a single Rangers supporter has left the stadium.